Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of Yang Berhormat Datuk Technologist Mustafa Sagmud, Deputy Minister of Higher Education Malaysia, accompanied by distinguished guests. Thank you, everyone. You may now take your seats. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, salam sejahtera, and salam Malaysia Madani. Yang Berhormat Datuk Technologist Mustafa Sagmud, Deputy Minister of Higher Education Malaysia, Professor Engineer Technologist Dr. Arham Abdullah, Vice Chancellor, University Malaysia Kelantan, Ms. Jessica Low, Regional Vice President, Asia Pacific Elsevier, Dr. Zurina Abdul Hamid, Division Secretary of Policy and Research, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, Dr. Muhammad Farhanul Hakim Muhammad Razib Wee, Department of Higher Education's representative, Senior Deputy Directors of Divisions and Heads of Unit, Ministry of Higher Education, Deputy Vice Chancellors of Public Universities, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the launching ceremony of Malaysia National Scopus AI and Research Impact Summit 2025. We are greatly privileged by the presence of our guest of honor, Yang Berhormat Datuk Technologist Mustafa Sagmud, our Deputy Minister of Higher Education. Thank you very much, Yang Berhormat Datuk, for gracing us with your esteemed presence this afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we begin this meaningful occasion, let us take a moment to recite the Kitab Al-Fatiha. And now I'm pleased to invite Ms. Jessica Low, Regional Vice President, Asia Pacific Elsevier, to deliver her appreciation speech and future direction. Please welcome.
Yang Berhormat Datuk Technologist Mustafa Sagmud, Deputy Minister of Higher Education Malaysia, Professor Engineer Technologist Dr. Rahman bin Abdullah, Vice Chancellor University Malaysia Kelantan, Dr. Zurina binti Abdul Hamid, Division Secretary of Policy and Research, Minister of Higher Education Malaysia, Dr. Muhammad Farhanul Hakim bin Muhammad Razib Wee, JPT Representative, Senior Deputy Directors of Divisions and Head of Unit, Ministry of Higher Education, Deputy Vice Chancellors, Public Universities, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I will spend the next few minutes expressing my appreciation to all of you here, as well as a little bit about the future direction. So, as we move into the second half of today's event or summit, I would like to first begin by thanking the Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia, for their partnership with Elsevier, and to UMK for co-hosting this very important event with Elsevier. And of course, to our speakers this morning and later on during the panel, who have traveled from across the region and internationally for sharing their knowledge with us. And of course, to all of you for your active engagement and participation this morning. So thank you very much. The session so far, is there a bit of feedback, I think? Okay. The session so far have reinforced an important message. Research must move from output to outcome. Right? Research excellence is no longer measured just solely by the number of research that are being published, or what we call publication volume, but really to the extent in which it has contributed to, solving some of the challenges of today's society, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in creating jobs, or solving issues with aging population. I think it's also clear that evaluation and metrics must evolve. Right? When analytics are used only for reporting, its potential is quite limited, as we see in today's morning session. Right? However, when integrated into institutional workflow, they become enablers of change. Enabling university to build a strong talent strategy, like what we heard this morning from NUS, benchmark globally and become more competitive, and also drive assessment frameworks that encourage not only contribution in terms of publication volume and outputs, but also in research impact and outcome that have a real impact to society. At Elsevier, we are committed to supporting universities as well as ministries to advance research by delivering a few solutions. First, integrated infrastructures that brings data together for insights as well as oversights. Workflow automation solutions for efficiency and to reduce admin burden. And of course, responsible AI, a hot topic this morning, that is built based on trust and transparency. So this commitment is reflected in the milestone we are about to witness this afternoon, right? The launch of the Malaysia National Scopus AI license. Scopus AI is built based on trusted peer review Scopus database, based on curated content. By becoming the first country in Asia Pacific, there's no sound? Okay. Okay, thank you. So by becoming the first country in Asia Pacific to adopt Scopus AI at the national level, Malaysia has demonstrated its leadership and vision, right, in showing the world how AI can be applied responsibly to strengthen research and amplify impact. Elsevier is very grateful for this partnership with the Ministry of Higher Education as they advance the nation's AI roadmap. We look forward to continuing this journey together with the Ministry and with Malaysia, so that the research of today in Malaysia will become the impact of tomorrow for Malaysia, the nation, as well as its communities. So with that, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jessica, for that inspiring vision. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we have been waiting for, the launch of Malaysia National Scopus AI and Research Impact Summit 2025. It is my distinct honor to invite Yang Berhormat Datuk Technologist Mustafa Sagmud, Deputy Minister of Higher Education, to deliver his launching speech. Please welcome Yang Berhormat Datuk.
Thank you, Madam MCs. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good evening and salam Malaysia Madani. Yang berbahagia Profesor Engineer Teknologis Dr. Arham bin Abdullah, Vice Chancellor Universiti Malaysia Kelantan, Miss Jessica Low, Regional Vice President, Pacific Elsevier, Dr. Zurina bin Abdul Hamid, Division Secretary of Policy and Research, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, Dr. Muhammad Farhanul Hakim bin Muhammad Razib Wi, Deputy Representative, Senior Deputy Directors of Division and Head of Unit, Mohi, Deputy Vice Chancellors of Public Universities, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah, it gives me a great pleasure to be here today to witness a truly momentous occasion, the Research Impact Summit 2025. This gathering is not just another conference on the calendar, it is a convergence of minds, a meeting point where visionaries, innovators and leaders come together with one purpose, which is to redefine the future of research and its impact on society. And I agree with Ms. Jessica Low just now that we need collaboration between our public universities and Elsevier to make our research is even better. And I think it's also related to our letter on our QS ranking, how improve our QS ranking on our local university. I extend my warmest appreciation to the organizers, Elsevier and University of Malaysia Kelantan, and also the team from Malaysia Higher Education Ministry, partners and all the contributors whose dedication has made this event a reality. Your commitment to advancing Malaysia's research and innovation ecosystem is deeply commendable and speaks volumes of our collective ambition to shape a smarter, more connected, and more impactful future. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today marks more than just the launch of a cutting-edge platform. The Scopus AI initiative represents a transformative leap in how we harness technology to advance research, measure impact, and elevate our global standing in higher education. For decades, the challenge for researchers has not been a shortage of knowledge, but an abundance of it and scattered, siloed, and difficult to navigate. The question has always been, how do we turn information into insight, into impact? With artificial intelligence as an enabler, researchers can now analyze vast bodies of scholarly work, uncover emerging trends, and accelerate innovation with unprecedented speed and precision. This is not merely a technological advancement, but it is an empowerment of our intellectual capital. The minds, ideas, and innovations that will define our country's future. The collaboration with Elsevier to provide national access to Scopus AI is a groundbreaking moment for Malaysia's research ecosystem. This partnership is poised to transform research and significantly amplify its impact by leveraging Elsevier's comprehensive academic and analytic databases. Given that AI can be a double-edged sword, it is crucial to ensure that its sources are reliable and of high quality, which means actively eliminating hallucinations or fabricated information. This focus on verifiable data aligns perfectly with the Malaysia National AI Roadmap ensuring our nation is on the right track towards building a trustworthy and impactful AI ecosystem. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia is also proud to be the first country in the Asia-Pacific region to subscribe to Scopus AI, providing access for 20 public universities to strengthen research, innovation, and global competitiveness. This initiative is fully aligned with the aspiration of the Higher Education Strategic Plan and the Madani Economy Framework, where knowledge creation, innovation, and societal impact are central pillars. Through Scopus AI, we are equipping our universities, researchers, and policy makers with the tools to push boundaries. We are enabling them to ask bolder questions, pursue deeper collaborations, and deliver outcomes that improve lives, drive industries, and strengthen Malaysia's reputation as the center of intellectual excellence. This is how we transform from being consumers of knowledge to global producers of solutions. The Research Impact Summit 2025 serves as a timely platform for dialogue, collaboration, and vision setting. Here, we bring together thought leaders, innovators, and policy shapers to share strategies for amplifying the societal and economic value of research. It is our hope that the discussions and networks formed here will spark interdisciplinary collaborations, attract global partnerships, and generate solutions that address the complex challenges of our era, from sustainability to digital transformation. I urge all our researchers, academics, and institutional leaders to seize this moment. Let us leverage the power of data, AI, and strategic collaboration to move from quantity to quality, from output to impact. Let us move from quantity to quality, from publication to transformation, and from knowledge to wisdom. Let us ensure that every publication, every project, and every innovation contribute to the betterment of humanity, the progress of our industries, and the prosperity of our nation. And let us remember, impact is not created in isolation. It is built in communities, in partnerships, in networks that extend across borders and discipline. With that, I think I'd like to congratulate the organizer, Elsevier and UMK, and all public universities to be here today to mark launching of this Scopus AI. So I hope we can really make use of this Scopus AI to ensure our research will make an impact. And of course, that's why during the session in the holding room just now, I was asking on how we try to to maintain the originality of our research. Because nowadays, there's a lot, especially with the ChatGPT and others, we can get info, but how we want to maintain the originality, especially researchers, of course, but then also our students. How to check them, because we want to nurture thinking students, thinking researchers. So I hope with all this Scopus AI can assist us. I think our Dr. BC said now generally we can do our PhD in 3 years. But with all this Scopus AI and other tools, maybe we can shorten our PhD to 1 year. So this will encourage, especially people like us, like me, and others, working adults, to embark on taking a little bit the knowledge by taking master's PhD. So hopefully with all these tools, Scopus AI, this will create an interest amongst us to move forward and to become a better person in doing their research. I think with that, it is my great honor and privilege to officially launch the Scopus AI platform in the Research Impact Summit 2025. Sekian, Assalamualaikum, sekian wabarakatuh hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Yang Berhormat Datuk kindly remain at the center of the stage for our next agenda. And may I invite now Prof. Arham and also Ms. Jessica to join Yang Berhormat Datuk on stage for the launching of the National Scopus AI.
So I hope.
Please enter your command.
Scopus AI activate now.
Ladies and gentlemen, that special montage video presentation marks the official launch of the National Scopus AI and Research Impact Summit 2025. Yang Berhormat Dato' and distinguished guests, please remain on stage for the souvenirs presentation. And we would like to invite Ms. Jessica to present a token of appreciation from Elsevier to Prof. Arham Abdullah. And next, Ms. Jessica once again to present a token of appreciation from Elsevier to Yang Berhormat Dato'. And lastly, we invite Prof. Arham to present a special token of appreciation from UMK to Yang Berhormat Dato'. And this symbolizes our heartfelt gratitude and appreciation for Yang Berhormat Dato' for being here with us this afternoon. Thank you very much, Dato'. And we kindly invite Dato' and distinguished guests to join us for a group photo. And may I now invite all distinguished speakers and everyone to gather at the center for a group photo session. Our photographer will be taking the shot from the stage here. So can you please gather here at the center, ladies and gentlemen. So let's capture this special moment together. Smile, don't forget to smile. Thank you very much, everyone. And we would like to once again express our heartfelt appreciation to Yang Berhormat Datuk Technologist Mustafa Sagmud for taking the time to be with us this afternoon. Having you with us has truly elevated the significance of this summit, Datuk. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the ceremony. And for your information, Yang Berhormat Datuk will now take his leave to attend another official engagement, which is the MOU signing between Elsevier and University Malaysia Pahang Al Sultan Abdullah. Right? And once again, thank you very much, Yang Berhormat Datuk, for coming here with us. Let's give a big round of applause to our guest of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. You may now be seated. We still have another session waiting for us. We're not done yet. So before we proceed with our next agenda, and while waiting for the event crew to set up for the panel discussion, we would like to have your kind cooperation, ladies and gentlemen, to complete a short survey by scanning the QR code at the back of your event tag. All right, and your feedback means a lot to us, and it will actually help us to make future events even better. And of course, there's a little thank you in written for everyone who completes the survey. All right, you will be getting a special souvenir from Elsevier, right? So don't miss out and don't forget to redeem your gift before you leave. Okay. Let's wait for them to set up the stage for our panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I'll pass the session to our moderator, Mr. Kavit. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Okay, so it's working, right? Oh yeah. Thank you so much once again. And since morning we have been talking about data, insights, evolution, and this particular panel is also about data-driven decision making. Just to give you the brief background, we have a diverse group of panelists here. We have university leader, Professor Popema. We have strategic data insight director from RMIT. And then we have a voice from the policymaker, Ministry of Higher Education in the form of Dr. Farhan, right? So we wanted to have diverse perspective. I'm not the only one who is going to ask question. And in the beginning, in the morning, I said that please drive engagement and ask questions. So I'm going to break the ice with a few questions, then we'll open the floor to the audience. And so my first question is to Professor Popoma. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly because I was a bit nervous about the whole thing. So I've been to your university many times, and in the morning also when we were talking, it's not an overstatement when I say that I have met really few university leaders who have the granular understanding of the metrics. Whenever you speak data. And same thing is visible whenever you speak to anybody in your university, be it Daniel or Prof. Abhi or something. So, and that's reflecting in your metrics. You said your FWCI is 2.5 and 80% international collaboration and all. And that's why you're growing. So you have managed to create this culture of data-driven assessment. How did you bring it about? I mean, what kind of challenges did you face and how did you overcome those challenges?
Okay, well, it does not start with data analysis. It starts always having a mission and then having a strategy. And the data are just in service of all of that. So that's very important. So first you have to show where you want to go and how and when. Then the data come, and the data really are there to support your story. So that, I think, is the most important thing. So how do we do that? Well, basically, I do 2 sessions with all of the staff each year. And that's where I tell them about what we have done and what we are going to do. And that is supported by data. It's not just, we have these lofty goals. It is what have we done already? What are our data? How have we improved since the last time? How come that we have improved? All of those things. That is what makes people buy in to this data-driven idea. And of course, it's not just in research. We've been talking a lot research today. The same is true when it comes to student numbers. Where do they come from? When it comes to student success, when it comes to employability, all the things that are really student satisfaction, all the things that are really important in a university. That's where you need data. You can get endless data, but the ones that are really important are the ones I focus on.
Okay, and did you face any challenges while you were trying to bring in this culture? I know you focus on the mission.
To be honest, no. None.
Okay.
That's why it was possible to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Engel, you are a data geek, just like me. I like to call myself data geek as well because I've been playing around with metrics for at least last 5 to 6 years. And this was visible in your presentation also. You like to play around with the data. And I know that RMIT has completely integrated data and analytics into its research workflow. It's part of your DNA now. How did you manage to do that?
It has been a long journey, but interesting one for us. And it's basically being a data-driven organization is part also of our strategy, our mission, direction, the university, and our long strategic plan focuses on that. So we have tried to integrate the data over many years and trying to bring the data from everywhere and make it visible to people. And it has been a slow journey that we have sort of built up over the past 5, 6 years. And then the COVID came in the middle as well. and we still continue to work on that. So we have been able to integrate the data, but also for people to realize that whatever you bring together now, you might not supersede the needs because you might run out of capacity, but have the flexibility and bring together. One thing we have been focusing over the years is ensuring that the data repositories are current, are available, but also bring awareness of the importance of having the data available to people. We even developed a set of metrics simply because we wanted to drive the behavior in the way we want. And the other thing I have been highlighting over the times is that it pays attention to focus on the long term rather than short gains. And often we all want to do things in a rush, hurry, but think about integrating the data across all the things and basically try to do it in a stepwise approach. And often people focus on doing things that want to do it. We don't want to release the data because we're waiting for something. Just stage it. And it takes a journey about building the maturity and bringing the leadership with you in the journey, start sharing the information with them. And that has been the approach. But it's also being aware about communicating with the audience and the people, because sometimes the people deal with the data, focus on the data and the technical aspect, but it's about the value of using the data, how it can drive decisions, and make it that visible to people. And we're sort of being expanding, broadening more the conversation with people, making information available to people, how to use the data.
Got it. So I think just to summarize, it's instead of focusing on the short-term objectives and adoption of data for achieving those short-term objectives, you focus on the long-term objectives and you look at the big picture. So one follow-up question. So can you give an example of one change you managed to bring about within the university which led to change by adopting these analytics and metrics?
Let's give you the example about the employability, where we sort of have the data there. And where we have been trying to illustrate is integrating all different data points about whether people have work integrated experience, where they have internships and things, but also the data that we have about courses that are linked to have a specific skills development and things like that, and bringing joining the dots. That has been part of the things, and often focus about if students are doing things, joining the dots between the activity that students are doing from different sources, and often trying to integrate as much as possible, or creating the pathways to enable that. So employability is one. The other example I often highlight is about how we have been able to make improvement to student satisfaction by bringing awareness and making visible the data that we have about the student performance by field study and comparing the data against other institutions. That's another example. Another one is about how we have been able to ensure that we are having more women involved in decision-making in the university, in senior leadership positions, by focusing on making sure that we have all data points available to say what has been the journey over the years. So basically, in your three examples, we have been able to drive the behavior that we wanted to help us.
Got it. So if I understand correctly, once you identify the priorities of the universities and once you identify the metrics related to that, you bring in the accountability to bring about that change. Thanks. This is quite insightful. Dr. Farhan, I know you have been using Civil a lot, and we have been chatting on a day-to-day basis. Just wanted to understand from your side what kind of data and analytics you use from ministry's perspective for funding decision or any policy making. Would you like to share an insight on that? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kavit. Okay, so first of all, as a key person at the ministry that has the access for this civil, for example, of course, data-driven approach is our priority. So, for example, in terms of research, for example, there is 4 key elements that we have to look for it. So, first of all, is people. People is the researcher, for example. So, researcher is the main person that will drive the research, and then so the main important thing is to have proper screening and then the recruitment procedure as shown by Dr. Taizan just this morning. but I believe not all our university implement such way. So, but in the end, and then at the second one, we have to also look for funding for research. And then the third one, I believe, is the benchmarking and the analysis through civils that currently KPT have will help a lot on this kind of analysis. And the fourth one is actually to demonstrate the impact. This one is the hardest one. So what I can say is this one is kind of a personal and individual efforts to demonstrate this kind of impacts to the society, to the world. So what at the ministry do right now, as examples, we as at the ministry level, we have to be, how to say this, fair and equal, because I have to entertain 20 public universities. So I try to be fair, and then at the ministry level also we have also to give direction and follow the direction from the ministry. For example, minister wants to have something like, for example, repository of expertise at the national level. So for that kind of initiative, I will need to have a database from Scopus, from Civil, that will help me. So that's one of the examples.
So it looks like there is a lot of focus on people.
Yeah, true. That's the most important one. Among the four, I believe the people is the most important one. So choosing the right people is very crucial.
Right. Okay. Thank you. The next question is for Professor Popoma once again. How do you see AI and machine learning influencing strategic decision making in higher education segment?
Yeah, let's go a little bit more basic, because how are we using data? Because data in itself means nothing. It's what you do with the data, right? You know, it's through data that you get insight, not the other way around. So that is very important. Likewise with AI. AI has potentially all the information. You know, you can ask any question, but the real question is, what is the right question? So you have to be able to ask the right question. Now, what do you need to ask the right question? You need knowledge. So people that do not have knowledge, you know, people will say, oh, students can use AI and make something. It's not true. If they do not have knowledge, they cannot ask the right question. If they do not have knowledge, they cannot judge whether the answer they get is right or wrong. So you need knowledge first. It's very important. Now, when it comes to students, or for that matter, scientists using AI and presenting it as their own idea, that, of course, is the big conundrum for universities right now. And I think for that, what is necessary is for students, but also for PhD students that are definitely not going to do their PhD in 1 year, also not in 1 day, which you could do with AI. But basically what you have to be able to show is the process. So what did you ask? What information did you give? What information came back? How you asked the next question, etc. You know, so you have to be able to show the process. What you did and what your assistant, because I really consider AI, certainly in this stage, only as an assistant. And yes, I use it. You know, when I want to get something that is comprehensive about, let's say, the strategy of the university, I talk with AI, but I have a real conversation. So I will ask, you know, what would be a 5th generation university? It has little idea of that. Then you give some input, and it will tell you, you know, what could be a 5th generation university. You know, these are the things we are doing. Then next step, you can ask more questions. What about this? What about that? What about this? And it will incorporate all of that. So that is really using it as a synthesizer, using it, I still consider it as a research assistant, not more than that. And so that's what I do personally. That's what I think is also the best use when it comes to our scientists, and also the best use when it comes to our teachers and when it comes to our students.
Got it. So I think it should be seen as a research assistant only and not beyond that.
For now.
For now.
For now, because it will change.
Yeah. Okay. So interestingly, you touched upon fifth generation university, and this is the first time I heard about fifth generation university. I thought we are still talking about fourth generation universities only, and trying to come up with some sort of methodologies to identify whether their performance is in line with the parameters set by the community. Can you share more about what fifth generation university is all about?
So let's go through them systematically, just very quickly. So first generation was Bologna, Oxford, and so on. You know, the keepers of knowledge, sharing of knowledge with a limited number of people. Next generation was the German Humboldtian universities that started to do actual research, experimental research, and publishing about that, and teaching based on that. Third generation basically was the innovative university, the university that was being entrepreneurial. Somewhere in the 80s, early 80s, universities started to have spin-off companies, science parks, and so on. So that's only 45 years old or so. And then fourth generation, currently developed, but have been around for, I would say, the last 20 years or so. Universities that actually work with government, with industry, particularly also with local government, to promote the economy in that region. So very tight interaction between universities and industry and government. So a good example of that in the Netherlands, and you know, that was one of the universities that took the initiative together with Elsevier on fourth generation university, was Technical University of Eindhoven. And of course that's the Brainport region, that's the university that collaborates a lot with ASML, and so it's quite clear what they are trying to do, and this is the case in many areas where there's this fifth generation is mission driven, and basically in our case is a university that wants to make change in society. So not just talking about sustainable development, not just publishing about sustainable development, planetary health, community service, but actually taking action. So what we do at Sunway University, and it's both in education and in research, is to make sure that our students in practice know what that means. So all of our students in their second year must do community service. So for us, it's a community development project. So it's in an area right next to Sunway. It's a housing complex, 26,000 urban poor. So there's poverty, there's lack of education, there's lack of health care, it's not safe, and all of those things. So we as a university have sort of adopted that area, doing projects together with that area, and all of our students in their second year must go there. So it's a required for credit course. It's one of the three that we have. One is on integrity and sustainable development. One is on this community service for planetary health. One is on a sustainable entrepreneurial mindset. Means 3,000 to 4,000 students each year must do this. This is going to make change in that society. So it's about education, it's about healthcare, it's about making the place safe, but it's also about employment. And actually, recently I've come to the belief that that is the most important part. So what we've done recently is we brought, as the first one, Post-Malaysia to that area. And they offered jobs that first time around to 37 people. You know, people that had left school early, did not have a job, had to be trained. Now many other companies have come to us and want us to mediate between them and these people. And you say, how is this possible? Malaysia happens to have only 3% unemployed. So which is in most countries would be considered full employment. 2 million foreign workers, but more and more difficult to get. The companies are looking for people, cannot find them. The people are looking for a job, cannot find them. So now the university is mediating. So that's one part. The other part is many single mothers cannot go out of the house to find employment. So we've given an entrepreneurship course to them. You know, the same course that our students getting, except the most basic level. So we call it jokingly entrepreneurship minus 101. But basically they learn the principles of establishing a company. And so they make a business in baking cookies or whatever. And we had the first time pilot 10 people, 9 women, 1 man. The man ran away, so we'll have to find something different. The 9 women all successfully completed. The most successful one was Hari Raya, sold for 14,000 ringgit in cookies. That's more money that she'd seen in her life, you know, at any point. So that is changing the life of people. When one gets a job in a family, the family gets health insurance, for instance. So it's a huge change. So the way the houses look, many people say, oh, if the apartments were new, things would be better. But 10 years from now, it would be the same. First, people must get a job. The younger ones must get an education. The older ones must get upskilled. That's the really important thing. So as a university, to regain, as universities, our social license, which is society accepting why universities are important. We must be doing things like this. The population has to see that universities are actually contributing to society, not just through training a limited number of students that need to have good employability. I agree, but also by training them in a way that they become contributors to society. Each one of them, you know, that's the idea. Not just employed for their own good, but also employed to make society better. So that is, to me, if it comes to things like AI, what should you focus on in a university? You know, to make the next AI that will make a lot of money, or to make AI that will make the lives of people better, so-called pro-social AI. And we feel we must focus on pro-social AI. So that, to me, constitutes doing all of these 5 things that generation 1, 2, 3, and 4 were doing, plus the number 5 is changing society.
This is really profound, you know, social AI, the focus on the community, the real world impact on the community, instead of just focusing on the ranking or the metrics. I think you are thinking ahead. I think you are ahead of the curve, I would say, in this region. Thank you so much for that insight. Coming back to you, Engel, and coming back to data once again. Yeah. So we have been talking about the regular metrics now. Field-weighted citation impact has come up a number of times. Different kind of methodologies we have spoken about, different presenters have spoken about today. What is going to change down the line? What kind of new methodologies, new technologies are going to reshape the way we assess the performance of a research entity, be it a university or researcher or a research group?
Well, I think we are going through exciting times, right? Period of time, because lots of things are changing, and the more things change, the more they stay the same as well. And I think when we're talking about new technologies, whatever technology would be are going to be getting ready for will be out of date really soon. So I think, to me, what is going to be critical is preparing our leaders and decision makers to make well-informed decisions and have a base to basically say, what are the processes that we're going to follow through in order to do that? And I get back to a basic point that have been articulated for some time, and that is judgment. You know, we need to strengthen our judgment-related skills to be able to discern between the different things we are being confronted with. And think, to me, is like, we're looking around, the technologies come and go, but what's going to be required, more importantly, for our leaders and for universities and policymakers, is to make good informed decisions that have a way to have evidence-driven or have to be substantiated, and not to be things like the technology tell us to do it. You know, to what extent we have to rely on information that is going to change. So we need to prepare our people to be able to discern on that. And I think the other thing is, we keep embarking on new things, and I often, I don't know if you guys get emails or invites to attend new things the whole time. Often it's being recycled, new products and new things happening. And technology will always be ahead of us, whatever we do. The thing to me is we need to be able to be prepared to be adapted to change and embrace new ways of working. But how our abilities and judgment to be able to see what is important for us. I will focus on those sort of things.
Okay, so I think the focus is on the wisdom because intelligence is artificial now.
And to me, the other thing too is, we get back to lots of things that everyone wants to have the latest technology and do things. Over the years, I have seen that people create dashboards, new things, and often that having poor utilization rates. Because people are not equipped to make decisions looking at the data. So the challenge I often look around and see is how we equip our leaders to feel confident in the decision they're making and prepare them for that journey. That should be part of the focus that we need to be preparing our people. Like having the technology, having the best things is not necessarily the solution to all the things.
Got it, yeah. Dr. Farhan, you spoke about how do you use data for analyzing the performance of the universities, how do you benchmark them, you focus on people and all. Talking about universities, so we know how do you use data for benchmarking their performance, but what according to you universities should adopt as far as research assessment framework is concerned, what kind of metrics they should adopt, and if you think that by adoption of those metrics, universities are going to align themselves with the priorities of the ministry.
Okay, first of all, I would like to share that, for example, whatever NUS already shared this morning, for example, about the recruitments, about the topic of the research that that they need to focus, that one is crucial for university to implement, for example. So right now, what I can say is it's kind of lacking over here. And then whatever that we want to focus is, for example, in terms of rankings, where we show improvement for this year, for maybe for almost all of our universities, that kind of indicator could be useful as our guideline to give a focus, and then from the ranking itself, it can show some indicators to show that we have some improvement, for example. So the emphasis on the ranking, let's say when government or some universities said that ranking is not important, but in the end, people will look at the ranking. So, and then the indicator in the ranking itself is, let's say, is kind of suitable to measure the performance of universities. So I think that the ranking can be our baseline, for example, to measure the university's performance, and then the university should adapt to the indicators in the ranking, for example, as their baseline. Yeah.
Okay, so the focus is on ranking, but do you think ranking should be the objective or it should be the outcome of adoption of these metrics?
That one I leave it to universities, their top management to decide, for example. I think Sunway, it can give good examples how they manage it. Even though, let's say, maybe in terms of ranking, they are showing some improvement, and maybe they are in the top in Malaysia, but maybe from that kind of perspective, the top management, whether they will decide it as an objective or as the outcome, but in the end, use the ranking indicators as a guideline. Yeah, maybe you want to add something?
Yeah, of course it's an outcome, so it's a loaded question, but it's a mechanism, it's a tool for universities, because basically the rankings are there to help particularly international students to decide which university they want to go to. So as you know, the representative of NUS said this morning, basically when you go up in the rankings, it becomes easier to get international students, but more important, for a university, it becomes easier to get good international students. So that's why universities must be in the ranking, particularly if you want to recruit international students. And all the other things, of course, staff wants to work at a top university, obviously. Government wants to deal with a top university. Industry wants to work with a top university because they consider themselves top industry, so they want to work with top industry. So all of that is true, but the basis of all of that was student advice. So that's how it started. When it comes to going up in the rankings, it really is, you know, the most simple way of saying this. It's about quantity of quality. Every university has a number of people, number of very good researchers. So the point is, and we heard this morning how NUS is doing this, but the point really is, how do you increase the number of very good researchers in your university? And not 100% of them in any university will be top researchers, and that's not even something to aim for. What you're aiming for is to have enough top researchers that the output of your university stands out in terms of citations per paper, and stands out in things like FCRI and so on, so the field weighted. And actually, you know, I'm using mostly the data, the Skyfall data, to actually follow that. So to be sure that we are on the right track when it comes to the quality, when it comes to the field weighted, that's to me are the most important items I'm looking for. But I also know you need a certain quantity. So that's why I say quantity of quality. You know, just a few good people is not going to help anywhere, because, you know, they may even be weeded out as being, you know, exceptions and so on. It's about enough people. The university has citations per paper that are universities in the world. So since 2023, 24, 25, not before that, but since those years, our citations per paper are well ahead of the Harvards, MITs, and so on of this world. The field weighted also is well ahead of that. Took a little bit longer, took one more year, but is also ahead. So it's all very doable, but you have to aim for quantity of quality. It has to be a certain percentage. In our university right now, we went from 6 people that were top 2% in a Stanford Elsevier list to 40. And, you know, by the end of this year, early next year, we have sufficient in the pipeline, will be 50. That's maybe about 7% of our staff. That 7% is publishing 50% of our papers and 70% of our citations. So that really is the secret of getting rapid growth in research quality. There's a lot of other things you can do, but they're not all terribly helpful. You can try to decide where people should do research. You know, heard about this morning. I know that, but I don't believe in that. I leave that freedom to the researchers, where they go. I just look at the quality of what they do, and then a little bit more holistic, I look how all of that fits together in our mission, our strategy to be leading in areas of sustainability. So for a 14-year young university, we've just entered top 100 in the Times Impact ranking, so 81 now. You know, with more to come, I can see next year will go up. I think having a certain focus as a university also is very important. But it means that engineering is very important. It means that business is very important. It means that medical is very important. It means that hospitality is important, and so on. So it does not mean that you cannot be very broad. It just means that in all of those areas you can have a focus in a certain direction, and that the people you recruit fit in that direction. But after that, exactly what they're going to do, I don't want to have any influence on that. Could have, but don't want to. Because that's, freeing up the creativity of the researchers, and that's much more important than what any university president can think of.
So that's how you balance the creative freedom, research freedom, vis-a-vis your data-driven approach, which is metric-based, right?
Correct, yeah.
So focus is on having the right people on board, and that comes from the ranking also. If your ranking is good, then you'll be...
It becomes easier to recruit
yeah.
them. They want, most people want to be part of a winning team, strange enough.
Absolutely.
Whether it's soccer, I always compare everything I do with soccer. Whether it's a soccer team or whether it's a university, it's the same thing.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. Engel, do you have anything to add to it?
I was going to add, following to the conversation about the outcome. But for example, in my institution, one of the reasons we did well in THC interdisciplinary rankings was based on decisions we made about 10 to 12 years ago. So that we basically going to be establishing new research centers working across disciplines. So when the results came out, people were surprised. And we said, well, if you go back on time, we can start tracking when we start working across disciplines and removing the barriers to enable people to collaborate. The other example is about THC impact ranking. We had done well on that ranking over the years, but that was based on things we set up to do back in the 1990s. And it gets back to the point that I made earlier in my presentation, that impact takes a long time. You can have snippets or indication of what will happen, but to realize the impact that you can see, it takes a long time. And often people lose patience in the process, in that sort of stuff. So to me, it's just like, you have to let things happen and start finding the right indicators to measure how you are progressing. And then it takes a whole community to understand that.
Absolutely, and we have seen that some universities subscribe to Savile, and after a year they say that nothing is happening, nothing has improved, right? So why should I continue? Impact takes a lot of time.
And reputation is something that takes a long time.
Longer time, absolutely. So probably this is the right time to open the floor for the questions. Can we have some questions from the audience?
Testing. Any questions?
Anyone?
My question's actually more to do with the, say, rollout of programs that you may have. So we're talking a lot here about using data, around using analytics. Can some of you give some examples of some of the biggest pushbacks you've had from faculty, from people you're speaking to, from deans, heads of departments, what have you, around the use of data and analytics, so being measured and how they feel about that, and how did you overcome those? Because that's kind of fundamental to them accepting it.
I'll go first because I get that pushback on a weekly basis. That's part of my job. I realize that people constantly, I get the pushback on all lots of things. And what I tend to do, I listen to my leaders and then walk away. And then later on, they come back and say, Angel, you were right. Start with there. So often, leaders will push back at certain things because it makes them feel uncomfortable. So to me, the key success or key ingredient to achieve that has been listening and engaging with them and not losing your temper and not losing the senses and let things settle. Honestly, because typically the leaders will often push back and something's not right, question the data. But if you are familiar with the data and you know the ins and outs, that eases over time.
Yeah, maybe a moment also, because I just got a question from my neighbor about, whether we are only recruiting top 2%. And the answer is, of course not.
Yeah.
In a university, and I'll get to your question through this question.
Okay.
In a university, basically you need people that are doing different things really well. So I'm talking about people that do research really well. They publish several papers a year, they get cited very well. That's one group. Then there's a group that's really fantastic in teaching. They really care about students. Now, my definition of a teacher is anyway somebody who wants to see his students be successful. That's the definition of a teacher. If you want to show you are better than your students, you're in the wrong profession. You want to make them successful. So those people are very important. There's people that are very good in the things like community service, taking a group of students, designing a plan together, executing that plan, and so on. Also very important. So there's different specializations. What is important in a university to avoid staff becoming upset about a focus on data, a focus on research data, and so on, is to make clear that everybody can make a career in what they do best. So, we have sort of 4 different areas that we look at in our staff. And when you excel in one, and you're quite good in another, and the other 2 you sort of perform well enough, you can make a promotion, all the way up to professor. So I always say, where was it ever written that a professor is somebody excelling in research only? Where was that written? A professor is a teacher, first of all. And some of those are specialized in research, other ones are specialized in teaching, some are specialized in teaching innovation, and all of that. And all of those are necessary to get a good, also not just holistic education, but a good holistic university, where the parts are much more, where the sum is much more than the parts of that university. So that is, so you're getting my answer, to avoid people arguing against the use of data for research, for instance, or any other thing. It is really important to let them see that all of them together contribute to making a fantastic university and to buy into that mission of the university. When people don't, that's fine. There's many other universities where they can go and work. But everyone can have a very important role in the university. And, to people, important, can I make promotion based on my good quality? Will I get a bonus based on what I did well and not be punished for the fact that I'm not publishing all that much? So those are the important things that make everybody. But, going back to what I said initially, number one, you have to have a joint mission as a university, and you have to have a strategy that everybody understands. So it has to be a very simple strategy. Our strategy is very simple. Number one, we increase number of students. Everybody in the university is contributing to that. Everybody's involved in recruiting students. In open days, you have, half of our staff coming to the open days to advise students. That's very important, because everybody knows that that is deciding next about all the other things. When student numbers are not increasing, we cannot increase the number of staff, we cannot recruit the top scientists, our quality papers will not increase, we will not go up in the ranking. And if all those things are right, then actually going up in the ranking will make it much easier to recruit students, and your virtuous cycle is working. So that's the strategy. Very easy, everybody understands, and everybody contributes to that.
So you're saying that you need to make sure that everyone is brought on board with the strategy, they're all aware of it, and that they are all aware and okay with the method of measuring success for that strategy.
Absolutely, yes. So, one of the failures of rankings is that when it comes to education, it's about all reputation, right? And when you look at it, it's true that, let's say you go to the Times ranking and you look at research reputation and education reputation, it's almost the same. You know, you might as well ask one question. It's almost the same. Very few exceptions. So that does not make sense. Because it certainly is not true that all research universities are also top teaching universities. But it makes it appear like that. So I still believe, and I know it's more difficult and that's why it's not done, but I still believe that having things like student satisfaction and employment outcomes very prominent in the ranking instead of this education reputation would make for better rankings that would serve the purpose of advising students where to study much better, because that's the purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Thank you. I'm the Fatma from UNISA. Okay, I have one question. Okay, I'm interested, you're talking about the impact, the research impact. Okay, usually when we try to publish our papers, when we do the research, we try to solve the world problems. In your opinion, okay, because you're talking about the impact on the society, right? On the closest community to the university. So are we doing or conducting the research, in your opinion, are we conducting the research to solve the closest problems, okay, to us as the researchers in the university? Or it's better for us to look at in the bigger picture, like to try to solve the problems, the world problems, instead of the closest community to us at the university? Thank you.
Maybe you should.
Oh, okay.
The ministry.
Okay. This is my personal point of view. Okay. It's not about closest. It's not about worldwide problem. I believe you should solve the most easiest problem. Solve the most easiest one first, rather than go outside to Antarctica whatsoever to solve another kind of problems, or rather you go to your neighborhood but the problem that you cannot solve, you try to look for the problem that you can solve first, the easiest one. I believe that would be more impactful rather than looking for worldwide problem or global problems. And then, of course, after that, maybe the community problem is also one of the things that university should tackle, especially in terms of economy, poverty, and then try to align also with the national direction or maybe state directions. That kind of things would be that kind of that's the problem that you should look for first. Okay, that's problem.
And then you can talk about data. So let me first say something quite in general. I think that to begin with, focusing on real world problems, which are right next door frequently, and the ones in the world are not so different. You know, but focusing on real problems nowadays, you know, on sustainable development, on climate change, on planetary health, etc., is what we really should do. Number one, the majority of our research should be on that. But then again, universities should also move the field forward, right? Work on the borders of what we know. So that is also part of what we should do. I'm not saying you should do this or you should do that, you should do both. But very important is that nowadays, and you know, I'm old enough to know how things were different 10, 20, 30, and 40 years ago. What? 50 years ago, when I published my first papers. So now actually when you publish about real problems in society or for businesses or whatever, it gets cited really well. In the past, that was not the case. You know, you had no chance when you published papers like that. They were not considered to be very, very important papers, not cited all that much. Also because not many people were doing research in areas like that. So there's, of course, a very close connection between the number of people working in a field and the number of citations that will appear. So now, actually, it's very profitable, if you want to use that word, to work in an area of real problems. But at the same time, a university, also to be a real top university, should be working on, I always say, papers that might appear in Nature or Science. Not necessarily they all go there, but that is what we strive for. And at Sunway University, I can tell you, till last year, we had no Nature or Science papers. This year, with our new medical school, we got 4. You know, so it is possible to make a change like that. I always tell people, and all of you, you know, if you want to publish in Nature and you think you got something innovative, something really new, you can always try. Generally, it will only delay you for 24 hours. Because the next morning, you know, you send it away today, the next morning you'll have your rejection already. They will say, no, not for us. Sometimes they will actually review it. Then 2 weeks to 1 month later, you get a really good review that will show you how to improve that paper. And you will rewrite it and send it somewhere else. And once in a blue moon, literally, it will be accepted. But at least try. Very important. If you don't try, it will never be published, strange enough. It will never happen. So that is an important principle. That's what I tell my staff. You know, when you think you got something that is unique, can always try, because that's what they look for. So overall, I would say you focus on problems that are near is good, because the solutions to those problems are not local, they are also global.
That was an excellent question for which there is not a straightforward answer, because the change depends or varies across disciplines and institutions, countries, and all of that. And I think this is also an imbalance that we see in modern science now as well, between the need to focus in applied versus pure research. And I don't think often many researchers will depart from the premise that I must solve today's problems, because people might do research that which will underpin the solution to problems that will be 10, 20 years down the track. And I think it's a modern obsession that we have now with focusing with things that we must solve a problem that we have, because sometimes it will end up solving problems which have not come out yet. So I think it's important to realize that often researchers will depart doing the research from the basis of what they know based on their field of expertise or what sort of things. And eventually the process will start joining the dots and putting 2 and 2, 4 together to start solving something. So I like that question, which is really hard to answer through simply
Really hard
saying.
to answer, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I relate to that question, because I can understand the dilemma of a researcher, whether to publish a paper in a topic which is globally relevant so that you get citation, because citations are linked with the promotion, recognition and all, or to focus on the local problem, which are not relevant to the globe and you might not receive that many citations. So that could be the dilemma which researchers are coming from. And one of the solution is to, if ministry can come up with some areas of national importance, and we can help you come up with some metrics to measure the performance of research in those areas only, then probably you will be able to drive researchers towards working on the topics which are locally relevant and contribute to the problems of the society. These are my 2 cents related to this.
Yeah, true. Of course, some of the niche area already mentioned in our blueprint. For example, like right now, our hot topic is semiconductor, artificial intelligence, REE, rare earth elements. So there is, for example, in the case for REE, for example, we are still searching for the technology. We are still looking for the solution for the environment problems that later on will occur, for example. So these kind of problems might be good for university to come up with alternative or some sort of solution. But after all, for example, university need to come up with a solution within their capability and within their expertise, for example. So yeah, that's from me.
So can I add one more thing? Because, of course, we measure all of this by citations, right? So when papers get cited, we say, oh, that paper has impact. Citation impact. So what is a citation? It is when somebody else reads that paper to begin with. Most papers are never read, actually. You know that, right? Most papers are never read by nobody, except you and the reviewers, hopefully, and the editor, hopefully, and then your mother, of course. So that is most papers. Then many, many papers, again, the majority, never cited. You know, you can go through a whole list of a university and the tail, very long tail, never cited. Never, ever. So what does it mean when it is cited? It means that somebody else finds what is in that paper, whether it is the problem you are introducing, or the methods you are using, or the results you are finding, or the discussion you are having, is useful to build on that. That's a citation, ideally. I know there's some other mechanisms, but that really is not the intention of citation. But the intention is to be one of those 4 or 5 things. So yes, when you are writing about a real problem, the likelihood of somebody finding that useful is much higher. And I think that's what we're seeing today, that kind of papers is being cited much more than other papers. And I'm abstracting from the kind of papers that have 1,000 authors in the medical field or in physics, that by definition, when each one of them cites their own paper one time, already have 1,000 citations. That's not citations. I know there are citation cartels, also not meant to be the way, but the real citation is somebody finds it useful. That's impact.
Yeah, Macy asked me to ask question again. So this is in relation to what Kevin was asking just now about analytics and AI. Right, and then I think the problem with this kind of question nowadays is that when people respond about using AI, I mean using ChatGPT, large language model. But I think I want to take a step back. Okay, I'm thinking about when I talk about AI, I'm also thinking about, say, using machine learning, right, to uncover values, uncover patterns from your data. Okay, so for example, and this is something that I'm tasked with because my president always asks me, tell me something I don't know. And I think the only way to do that, okay, is try to, uncover patterns in the data that, we are not aware of, right? So one of the things that I try to do a lot is prediction modeling, okay? A very simple one could be using logistic regression, trying to identify a bunch of variables that predict whether a student will accept an offer, okay, from NUS, right? Another thing I'm looking at is what are the predictors that could tell me which of the so-called executive and administrative staff is going to leave, right? Especially the good ones, okay? Because you know how costly it is to actually, recruit good staff. So my question is, are your university, using data in that way? And if so, can you give an example or two? Because I would love to learn from you guys how you use machine learning.
I think the area that comes closest for us is looking at students at risk. I think that also is one of the more important things. So what criteria make that some students get in trouble? usually in the first year. I think that is one of the most useful things in that area that are currently being used. But you know, we are still a small university. If it comes to the number of people, I know most of them. I don't find much use for, you know, the sort of methods you are using to identify scientists or to identify otherwise staff. But I can see that one might use it for that. And you know, when size gets big enough, you have to do things and find patterns like that. We are still in a situation where we can use human judgment, human knowledge. So I'm very aware of that that's a matter of scale. You know, Sunway University, from being, you know, 14 years old, in January we'll turn 15. Number of publications 14 years ago was 50. For many years it was less than 1,000. This year we'll definitely go past 2,000. So we grow by, well, few years we grew even 37% per year in number of publications. So now in Malaysia, our size in number of publications is number 7. So the 5 research universities and University Teknologi Mara, still bigger. Next year we probably will catch up with 2 of those 6. So we could be number 5 next year. But that's the size. So that's way, way, way off from your size, but also a number of students, you know, still way off. So for a lot of the things, we do not yet need all of this, but we are in this development. So in our finance, in our student numbers, in our international student numbers, in students at risk, etc. Yes, we are using all of that. But frequently not yet really necessary. We are learning and making sure that we have sufficient people actually that understand what it means. Actually, that's the biggest challenge. You know, you get numbers, but what do the numbers mean, right? You have to interpret numbers. That has not changed so much from the old days when some people went to oracles and also got some information. Some of the information is pretty much like that. So you have to be able to interpret, as a human, have to be able to interpret that. But it's coming, definitely. And AI will become so much more powerful than it is today. This is just the beginning. We will see totally different things. You know, once super AI, superhuman AI is coming, you know, now we may think it's superhuman because it can in 1 minute do what takes us hours or days or weeks or a whole PhD. But then it will be able to do things we cannot. You know, we have to come to grips with that as well. How do we work with somebody who's superior to us? We have to learn that. You know, when you start teaching at a university and you're going to teach first-year students, it's the most difficult thing there is. The most difficult. You know, giving a lecture is not so difficult. You're speaking to your peers, they understand what you're saying. You speak to first-year students. Most difficult thing. For a couple of reasons. One of them actually is that in that group always is at least one who is much smarter than you are. Can ask you a question you cannot answer. And they will ask that question. So it's very scary, you know. And it was not just because I was much younger, because I still have that feeling. When I speak to a group of that, they might ask a question. See, now I have my ways by saying it's a very good question and so on. And why don't you start studying that? But, you know, that's the scary part. In the future, we will work with an AI that is smarter than us. So how are you going to do that? So we'll have to come to grips with that. So interesting times await us.
I think we are over time already, and I think it's time to end. But before I end, I would just like to sum it up. I would like to drive a couple of points home, and one of them is we provide the data, but strategy is yours, mission is yours. So please do not subscribe to Cybele and try to weave a strategy around that. That's one thing. Secondly, subjective assessment is pretty important. Metrics lack context. So you have the metrics, but if you do not have the context, then metrics is not going to be useful. And the third thing, ranking is not the objective, it's the outcome. So if you decide to subscribe to solutions such as Cywell, please ensure that you are subscribing those solutions for building the culture of research excellence, which ultimately leads to improved ranking rather than just focusing on certain metrics and improving the ranking just for the sake of it. So with that, I would like to thank all the three distinguished panelists, and we really appreciate your ideas and thoughts, and we would like to see you in the future events we organize in the similar position. Thank you so much, and thanks for participating in this event, being here and engaging with the panelists and the speakers. And I wish you all the best in your endeavor, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Well, that was indeed an insightful and reflective discussion, right? And a big thank you once again to our moderator, Mr. Kaved, and our panelists, Mr. Engel, Prof. Popima, and Dr. Farhan, for sharing such rich, insightful perspective on how data and analytics are shaping the future of academic strategy. And I would like to invite Mr. Kaved to present a token of appreciation to Prof. Popima. Thank you very much, Prof, for being here with us. Ready yet? The camera is not ready yet? Okay, Macy? Can we do it once again? Because, yeah, our official photographer is here. All right. All right, thank you, Prof, and not forgetting our Dr. Farhan. Okay, and we would like to invite all distinguished speakers from today's summit, Dr. Tyson, Prof. Shahir, Prof. Aida, all the representatives from Elsevier, from UMK to come on stage for a photo session. So we need the crew to move the chairs and table for us. Mr. Chris. So thank you very much, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, before we end, I would like to once again remind you to complete the survey, because if you would like to receive a copy of the slide presentation from each presenter today, you will need to complete a survey, and at the end of the completed survey, you will find the link to the presentation slides. Interesting, right? Okay, and of course, the gift will only be given to those who completed the survey, so don't forget to collect them before you leave. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the Elsevier Research Impact Summit 2025. We hope you find today's session valuable and inspiring. Thank you for your time and your energy throughout the day. Safe travels, and we look forward to seeing you again at future summits. Take care, everyone, and have a great day ahead. This is your MC, Rosdalillah Abdul Ghani, signing off. Thank you.